For this set of problems, we're going to be solving equations. Remember, the goal when solving equations is to get the variable alone on one side of the equation. In order to do that, we have to use opposite operations. For this first example, we're going to solve x plus 11 equals negative 8. We want to get x alone, so since this is a positive 11, the opposite of adding 11 would be subtracting 11. So we're going to subtract 11 from both sides of this equation. When we do that, positive 11 and negative 11 cancel out, and I'm left with x equals, and when I combine negative 8 and negative 11, I get negative 19. Because the variable is alone on one side, I know that I've solved this equation. For our next example, we're going to solve 5x equals negative 25. In this particular problem, I'm multiplying 5 times x. So to get x alone, I need to do the opposite of multiplying by 5, which is dividing by 5. When I divide 5 by 5, the 5's cancel out, and I'm left with x equals negative 25 divided by 5, which would be negative 5. Again, the variable is alone, so I know that I've fully solved that equation. For the last example, we're going to look at something a little bit harder that's going to involve 2 steps, which is negative x divided by 4 minus 6 equals 9. Again, we want to get x alone. In order to do that, you need to move the number that is not attached to the variable first. Since we are subtracting 6 here, the opposite of that would be adding 6 to the other side. When I do that, I get negative x over 4 equals 15. If you look at the left side of the equation, when you see negative x over 4, I'm actually going to write that a little bit differently as negative 1/4 x. Remember, if you look at the original problem, the coefficient of x, because there's a negative sign there, it's implied that really there's a negative 1 in front of x. If you look at this, we're multiplying negative 1/4 times x. The opposite technically would be dividing both sides by negative 1/4, but in math, we never divide by a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. And remember, the reciprocal is taking the numerator and denominator and flipping them. Whatever I do to one side of an equation, I need to do to the other side. On the left side, these cancel out, and I'm left with x equals, when I multiply 15 times negative 4 over 1, my final answer is x equals negative 60.